The sun hangs low, casting long shadows over the quiet neighborhood. A gentle breeze stirs the leaves, as a soft lull of distant conversations and chirping birds fills the air. In the yard of a modest home, a disabled daughter, no older than 10, plays alone. Her laughter, pure and innocent, bounces off the walls, undisturbed by the world outside. She reaches for her favorite toy, oblivious to the shadow looming across the street. Across the road, standing rigid and still, is the figure of HOA Karen. Her arms are crossed, her expression stone cold. Her gaze cuts through the peaceful scene like a blade, unblinking, focused entirely on the girl. The camera lingers on her face, a mask of superiority, an icy determination that sends a chill straight to the viewer's core. There's something undeniably wrong in the air. The kind of wrong you can feel before it even happens. The camera pulls back slowly, showing the contrast between the carefree girl and the ominous figure in the distance. The laughter fades into the background as the sound of a distant, sharp gunshot rings out. Time seems to freeze for a brief moment. The girl stumbles, falling to the ground, her toy slipping from her grasp. A gasp. Blood begins to pool beneath her, staining the ground that was once so peaceful. HOA Karen watches, her face expressionless. There's no surprise, no regret, only a chilling detachment as she watches the life drain from the child's body. This is no ordinary crime. This is the story of a broken family, a heartless betrayal, and a mother's fight for justice. And it begins with one single, unforgivable act. The camera holds on Karen's cold stare, the gunshot echoing in the background. This isn't just a crime. It's a tragedy. It's war. The soft hum of the morning sun creeps through the curtains, bathing the room in warm, golden light. The sound of laughter fills the air, soft, innocent, the kind that could melt anyone's heart. It's a peaceful morning in the family home, and everything feels just as it should be. The camera pans over the cozy living room, where a young girl, our protagonist's disabled daughter, is surrounded by her favorite toys. Her wheelchair sits at the edge of the room, yet she rolls it effortlessly toward the small table where her father is sitting, a wide grin on his face. He laughs, his voice low and comforting, as she excitedly shows him a drawing she's just finished. "That's amazing, sweetie," he says, kissing the top of her head. His hand lingers on her hair, a protective, fatherly gesture. The girl's face lights up, her eyes sparkling as she looks up at him, her joy contagious. The mother enters the room, holding a tray of pancakes stacked high. She smiles warmly at her husband and daughter, her eyes filled with love. "Breakfast is ready," she says softly. As she sets the tray on the table, she leans down to kiss her daughter's cheek. "How's my little artist this morning?" The girl giggles, her tiny hand reaching up to touch her mother's face. "I made you a picture too, Mama." The mother's heart swells. "I can't wait to see it, honey," she replies, her voice thick with emotion. There's no trace of the chaos that will one day tear their world apart. This is the life they've built together, a life filled with warmth, connection, and love. The camera lingers on the mother and father exchanging a knowing look, a silent agreement that this family, this love, is the most important thing in the world. The father wraps his arm around his wife, pulling her into a gentle embrace as they watch their daughter, completely absorbed in her world of art and wonder. The daughter's laughter echoes once more, this time joined by the laughter of her parents. The happiness that surrounds them is genuine, unshakable. Life is simple, and there's nothing but this moment, the three of them, united, in this perfect little bubble of bliss. But even as the camera captures this fleeting moment, we're reminded of the fragility of life. It's so easy to take moments like these for granted. To believe that happiness will always be there. The camera lingers on the smiling faces of the parents, before cutting to the innocent joy of the girl. And then, in an instant, it's gone. The scene fades, leaving only the lingering warmth of what once was, a reminder of the love and happiness that was lost in the blink of an eye. The camera cuts sharply across the street, landing on a figure standing still, perfectly positioned. The woman's posture is stiff, almost mechanical, as if every movement is carefully controlled, crafted to make an impression. HOA Karen stands there, arms crossed, her gaze fixed on the family's home. A slight frown tugs at her lips, but there's nothing warm or sympathetic about it. It's a sneer, a silent declaration of disdain. She watches the young girl in the yard, the disabled daughter, playing without a care in the world. But Karen doesn't see innocence or joy. Instead, her eyes narrow with judgment. This family, this nuisance, doesn't belong in her perfect world. She sees their differences, their imperfections, as a blemish on her meticulously ordered universe. The camera zooms in slowly, revealing the coldness of Karen's expression. Her eyes, sharp and calculating, flicker briefly to the girl's wheelchair, her lip curling ever so slightly. It's as though she's disgusted by the very sight of it. A soft wind blows, but Karen stands unmoving, as if she's trying to absorb every detail, every moment she can use to assert her dominance. In the distance, the family is enjoying their peaceful morning, oblivious to the storm that is quietly brewing on the other side of the street. But Karen? She feels no empathy. There's no love in her heart for this family, no understanding or kindness. Only a deep-rooted belief that they are lesser than her. Their happiness annoys her. Their presence is a disruption. As the camera holds on her face, a chill runs through the scene. HOA Karen isn't just a neighbor. She's a force, cold and calculating, with a hidden agenda. It's clear she will stop at nothing to maintain control, nothing to make sure her perfect little world remains just that, perfect, even if it means taking others down along the way. Her gaze doesn't break, even as the girl in the yard continues to play. This is a woman who has already decided her place in this world, and everyone else is simply a stepping stone for her to climb higher. The camera lingers on Karen for a beat, her presence now as ominous as the silence that fills the air around her. The antagonism is palpable. This is a woman who will make her move. And when she does, it will be with calculated precision. The quiet before the storm has officially arrived. Days stretch on, but the unease that hovers over the neighborhood never lifts. It's subtle at first, small moments that go unnoticed by most, but not by the family. Every time the protagonist steps outside, they feel the prickle of eyes watching them, of being followed. The calm of the mornings is overshadowed by a sense of growing discomfort, a strange weight that hangs in the air. The camera follows the protagonist as they walk to the mailbox, the sound of their footsteps amplified against the stillness. As they reach the box, a familiar presence crosses their line of sight. There she is, HOA Karen, standing across the street, arms crossed, her face frozen in that same cold, judgmental expression. She doesn't speak, doesn't acknowledge the protagonist, but her gaze never wavers. It's as if she's silently judging every move, every decision the family makes. The protagonist hurries back inside, a chill creeping up their spine. It's the same every day. Karen watches, but says nothing. Still, the tension builds, thickening with every passing hour. Inside the house, the protagonist's spouse notices the change in the air. "Have you seen her again?" they ask, their voice low, concerned. The protagonist nods, their gaze flickering to the window, though they don't want to look. She's always there. Watching. The unease grows. The tension starts to infiltrate every corner of their lives. The daughter, usually so full of life and energy, begins to notice it too. She looks out the window, her innocent face clouded with confusion as she asks, "Why is she always looking at me, Mommy?" The parents exchange worried glances, trying to conceal the concern from their daughter. They reassure her, but the fear remains, gnawing at them from the inside. They try to ignore the tightening in their chests, the feeling that something is about to break. But Karen's presence is undeniable. It's as if she's become an unstoppable force, pushing everything closer to the edge. Every encounter feels like a powder keg waiting to explode. One evening, as the sun sets and the family sits down to dinner, they hear a car engine roar to life outside. It's Karen's car. The headlights cut through the dimming light, her figure visible in the driver's seat. The car slows to a crawl as it passes the family's home, her eyes fixed straight ahead. The tension crackles in the air as the vehicle stops right in front of the house. She doesn't honk. She doesn't wave. She just sits there, staring straight ahead, the engine idling in the silence. The family feels the weight of her gaze, piercing and cold, as it lingers for a long, unbearable moment. Then, without a word, the car drives off, the sound of the engine fading into the distance. But the unease doesn't fade with it. It lingers, creeping into every corner of their home, hanging thick like smoke. The protagonist stands by the window, staring out into the darkening street, heart racing. Something is about to happen. Something that will change everything. And when it does, there will be no going back. The tension is so palpable now, it's impossible to ignore. Every second feels like a countdown. The day had been like any other, the family trying to ignore the creeping anxiety that had settled over their home. The protagonist and their daughter decided to take a walk, hoping the fresh air would provide some relief from the suffocating tension. They walked down the familiar streets, the sun slowly sinking below the horizon, casting an orange glow over the quiet neighborhood. The daughter rolled her wheelchair with practiced ease, her excitement palpable as she chatted about her day, completely unaware of the growing storm around them. "Do you think we'll see any animals today?" she asked, her voice bright and innocent. The protagonist smiled, trying to keep their tone light. "Maybe we'll see a rabbit or two. You know how they like to hop around at dusk." As they strolled further, the streets began to thin out. The houses grew sparse, and the world around them started to feel emptier, more desolate. The quietness was unsettling, as if the earth itself held its breath. It was then that the protagonist noticed the change. A car, far off in the distance, was slowly creeping toward them. At first, they thought nothing of it, people drove down this road all the time. But something about the way the car approached made their stomach tighten. It wasn't normal. The car wasn't slowing down. Instead, it was heading straight for them, coming closer, closer with every passing second. The daughter giggled, oblivious, still excited about the walk. "Are we going to go to the park, Daddy?" But the protagonist didn't hear her. Their eyes were locked on the approaching vehicle, the dread mounting with every inch it closed. The car's engine hummed steadily, a steady rhythm that felt too deliberate, too ominous. Then, just as it drew near, the car stopped. And there she was, HOA Karen. Behind the wheel, her face as cold and calculating as ever. Her expression was impossible to read, but her eyes, they were a different story. They were like frozen steel, unblinking, unfeeling. She didn't speak. She didn't need to. The message was clear. This was not a friendly encounter. The protagonist's heart began to race. "Come on, sweetie," they muttered, trying to push the daughter forward, away from the car. The air felt thick, heavy, as if the world was holding its breath. But Karen didn't move. Instead, she reached over to the passenger seat. A metallic glint caught the light, and for a moment, the protagonist froze, the world slowing to a crawl. A gun. The gun gleamed in Karen's hand, its cold steel reflecting the dying light of the day. A sense of disbelief washed over the protagonist, their mind struggling to process what was happening. This couldn't be real. It couldn't be happening. But the sight of the gun, sharp, dangerous, told them otherwise. Before they could react, before they could pull their daughter away or even move, the gunshot rang out. The crack of the bullet shattered the silence like glass. Time seemed to slow. The protagonist's eyes widened in horror as the sound of the shot echoed in their ears, but it was the sickening, final thud of their daughter's body hitting the ground that stole their breath. "No!" they screamed, dropping to their knees beside her, the world tilting and spinning around them. Blood pooled around the daughter's head, staining the ground, a stark contrast against the dusty, barren road. The protagonist's hand trembled as they reached for her, but it was too late. Her eyes were vacant, her lips parted as if to speak, but no words came. The life was already draining from her fragile body. And all the while, Karen sat in the car, her gaze never leaving the scene. She was still. Silent. Watching with the same cold, emotionless stare she had worn since the moment they had met. There was no remorse, no regret, only the absolute finality of what had just occurred. The protagonist's voice cracked, their chest tight with a pain they couldn't put into words. Why? Why did you? The question was lost, swallowed by the impossible reality of the moment. Karen's lips barely twitched, but the cold, mocking silence that followed was all the answer they needed. This was never about the family. It was always about power. Control. And in that moment, she had proven that she had it all. The camera lingers on the lifeless body of the daughter, the blood soaking into the dirt. A single tear falls down the protagonist's cheek as they hold her, the world around them gone quiet, save for the soft hum of the engine in the distance. The betrayal was complete. Time distorts. The world is muffled, distant, as if the protagonist is submerged underwater, drowning in an ocean of grief. The sound of their breath, erratic and sharp, echoes in their ears. Everything is a blur, every detail of the world around them is hazy, distorted by the blood pooling at their daughter's side, soaking the earth beneath her, staining the very air with its finality. Their hands shake as they press down on the girl's wound, the warmth of her blood seeping through their fingers, the pulse in her neck growing weaker by the second. The shock is so immense, so crushing, that it takes a moment for the reality of it all to settle in. The protagonist's mind is screaming, but there is no clarity, only the terrifying awareness that the one thing they had always fought for, protected with every ounce of their being, is slipping away. "Please, don't leave me," the protagonist whispers, the words broken, raw, and desperate. Their voice trembles as they try to hold back the tidal wave of anguish rising within them. But no matter how hard they try, it's impossible to ignore the cold, sickening truth: she's not moving. She's not breathing. Tears flood their eyes, but they wipe them away, forcefully. "I won't let you go. I won't let you die. Not like this." Their thoughts race, but there's no plan. No clear path. The only thing that drives them is the instinct to fight, to do anything to save their daughter. The protagonist doesn't know what to do, doesn't know where to turn, but they will not sit idly by. Not while there is still a heartbeat. They lift the girl's limp body, struggling to support her weight, their legs unsteady, their arms trembling from the strain. Every step is agony, every inch a battle. Their mind screams for help. Where is the help? Why is there no one? The streets are empty, the distant rumble of the engine long gone. The silence is suffocating. Every breath is a plea to the universe, a desperate cry for some miracle to pull them back from the edge. They see nothing but the road ahead. The only thing that matters now is getting her somewhere safe, somewhere that can help. With every step, the protagonist's body shakes, fatigue threatening to pull them down, but they push forward. The image of her face, the way she had smiled that morning, haunts them, but it also steels their resolve. She deserves a chance. They will not let her slip away. Their mind flashes back to the warmth of their family's laughter, the quiet joy of ordinary moments. They can't lose her. Not like this. Not to this monstrous, cold-hearted act of violence. The injustice claws at their soul, but the fire of survival burns brighter than anything else. The protagonist stumbles, their legs nearly giving out, but they refuse to stop. They're not sure where they're going. They're not sure what they'll find when they get there. But it doesn't matter. All that matters is this: they will keep moving, keep fighting, until there is nothing left. Until their daughter is safe, or they've fought to the bitter end. A wave of pure, unfiltered rage surges through them, and for a brief, violent moment, it drowns out everything else. The weight of it is overwhelming, but it gives them strength, strength to rise above the terror, above the despair. They are not just a parent, they are a warrior. And no matter the odds, they will fight. "I'm not giving up on you," they whisper through clenched teeth, their voice raw, but full of an unyielding determination. "I'll fight for you, always." The road ahead stretches long and empty, but the protagonist doesn't see the distance. All they see is their daughter, and the fire in their chest that refuses to be extinguished. They move forward, one agonizing step after another, determined to defy the impossible. They will not stop. Not until the battle is won. The days blur into one another, each one feeling like an eternity, each one heavier than the last. The protagonist's grief has morphed into something darker, more consuming. It is no longer sorrow that holds them, but a deep, gnawing anger, a fire that burns through their every thought, every waking moment. The pain of losing their daughter is still there, but now it is joined by a thirst for justice, a desire to make HOA Karen pay for the devastation she's caused. The quiet of the house is unbearable, the silence echoing the absence of the child who once filled every room with her laughter. But in the stillness, something stirs within the protagonist. A plan begins to take shape, slow and methodical. It's a dark thought, an instinctual need for retribution that grows louder with every passing hour. They can't let this go. Not now. Not ever. Sitting alone in the living room, the protagonist flips through old photos, each one a reminder of what was lost. Their hands tremble as they trace the edges of a photograph of their daughter, her smile so full of life, so full of promise. That life was stolen, by Karen. The rage builds again, hot and sharp, like a surge of electricity. The protagonist's gaze hardens. They will make Karen suffer. They will make her regret what she's done. The first step is clear. They need to confront her, face to face. They need to look her in the eyes and make her understand the weight of what she has done. But confrontation won't be enough. It never is with people like Karen. This goes beyond a simple exchange of words. No, this will be something more, something that ensures she never forgets the pain she's caused. The protagonist stands up, pacing, the room growing smaller with each step. The plan forms in their mind, intricate and precise. It will be a calculated strike, a plan so well executed that Karen won't know what hit her. But it's not just about revenge, it's about showing Karen that she can't destroy someone's life and walk away unscathed. The consequences of her actions will be felt. The protagonist grabs a notebook and starts writing down details, creating a list of what they need to do. They will gather information on Karen, where she goes, who she talks to, what she fears. Every detail matters now. The plan will be meticulous. They'll know everything there is to know about her before they make their move. As they write, their hand steadies. The pieces are falling into place. It will require patience. They'll need to be smart, to stay under the radar. Karen won't see them coming. But when the moment arrives, it will be swift. Their thoughts turn to the final piece of the puzzle, the confrontation. The protagonist imagines it in vivid detail, Karen's face, her expression, the moment she realizes that the life she took has come back to haunt her. The thought of it sends a shiver down their spine, but it is the only thing keeping them going now. It's the only way to make sense of what happened. "I will make you pay," the protagonist mutters under their breath, the words thick with intent. "You won't get away with this." The plan is set. The clock is ticking. The protagonist is no longer the victim. They are the one in control now. They are the one who will ensure that justice is served, no matter what it takes. And as they stand there, staring down at the list of tasks before them, they know that nothing, will stop them from bringing Karen to justice. The fire has been lit, and it will burn until the very end. The streets are eerily quiet as the protagonist stands at the edge of Karen's property, heart racing, every muscle tensed for what's to come. The plan has been set into motion, and there's no turning back now. The rage that has been simmering inside them for days, weeks, months, is about to be unleashed. The sun hangs low, casting a crimson hue over the neighborhood, making everything feel as if it's in some kind of distorted reality. The protagonist breathes deeply, trying to steady themselves, but there's no calming the storm inside. There's no going back. Not after what Karen has done. The gate creaks as the protagonist pushes it open, stepping onto the well-maintained front yard. The same yard that has seen the destruction of their family. Karen's world, a pristine, perfect bubble, was about to burst. And the protagonist was the one who would pop it. They take slow, deliberate steps toward the front door. Their mind flashes back to the day of the shooting, the cold, brutal moment when everything changed. Their daughter's body lying on the dirt, the blood pooling around her like a stark reminder of the woman they were about to face. The anger rises again, hotter, sharper than ever. The door swings open before they can knock. There she is, HOA Karen, standing in the doorway, a thin smile playing on her lips. She looks the same as always, composed, calm, with that air of superiority that has always made the protagonist's blood boil. But today, it's different. Today, Karen will see who the protagonist truly is. Well, Karen says, her tone dripping with mock politeness. I wasn't expecting you. What brings you by? Did you finally decide to leave my neighborhood in peace? The words are like venom, but the protagonist doesn't flinch. They stand tall, unyielding. You don't get to talk like that anymore, the protagonist replies, their voice cold and steady, despite the raging storm inside. You don't get to act like nothing happened. Like you didn't destroy my family. Karen raises an eyebrow, as if she can't believe the audacity of the words. Her smile falters, but only for a moment. Destroyed your family? Don't be ridiculous. I don't know what you're talking about. The protagonist steps closer, the anger in their eyes now impossible to hide. Don't play innocent with me, Karen. You shot my daughter. You took her life without a second thought. And you think you can just get away with it? Karen's expression shifts then, the icy mask she's worn for so long starting to crack. A flash of something dark passes through her eyes, fear, perhaps, or maybe just the realization that the game is over. But she doesn't back down. Instead, she straightens, her voice rising slightly. You're delusional. You're nothing but a victim. This is all on you. I didn't do anything wrong. You don't deserve to, the protagonist cuts her off, their voice booming now, the fury of years of suppression breaking free. You took everything from me. The words echo through the stillness of the street, louder than they expect, but they don't care. You don't get to hide behind your damn HOA policies. You don't get to hide behind that fake smile and think that it doesn't matter. My daughter is dead because of you. Karen's jaw clenches, her eyes narrowing. She takes a step back, a thin line of frustration creeping into her voice. You're insane. I'm not the one who, no, the protagonist interrupts, taking another step forward, you are. You murdered my daughter, and now you're going to pay for it. The words come out like a promise, like a final, unbreakable vow. There's a moment of silence between them, as the weight of the words sinks in. Karen's face flushes with anger. The control she's always held over this neighborhood, over everyone around her, is slipping away. The facade of calm she's so carefully constructed is crumbling, piece by piece. And in that moment, the protagonist sees it, the fear. The fear that this woman has lived with every day, hiding behind her power, trying to control everything and everyone around her. Karen opens her mouth, but this time, there's no more confident tone. There's only a bitter edge, her words coming out sharp and defensive. You think you can just come in here and destroy me? I'll destroy you first. The protagonist takes another step, closing the distance between them. Their voice drops low, full of menace. You're already destroyed. You just don't know it yet. For a long moment, the two stand there, eyes locked, a battle of wills raging between them. The protagonist's body shakes with the force of their anger, but they hold their ground. They will not back down. Not now. Finally, Karen's composure cracks completely. She steps back, her eyes wide with disbelief, realizing that the protagonist is not the broken, grieving person they were when she first crossed paths with them. The power dynamic has shifted, and she feels it in her gut. The protagonist takes a deep breath, steadying themselves. You're going to regret what you did. And I'm going to make sure you never forget it. Without another word, they turn and walk away, leaving Karen standing on her doorstep, seething with rage and humiliation. The protagonist's steps are firm, their resolve unshakable. They've won this battle. And though the war is far from over, they know one thing for sure: Karen will never be the same. The sun rises slowly, casting pale light across the quiet street. Everything seems still, like the world itself is holding its breath. The aftermath of the confrontation with Karen has left its mark, on the protagonist, on the neighborhood, and on the very fabric of their life. The protagonist sits alone in the living room, the house now quiet in a way it hasn't been in weeks. There's no sound of the daughter's laughter, no soft patter of her feet across the floor. Just silence. The echoes of the past reverberate through the rooms, a reminder of what was lost. Their hands are folded in their lap, their eyes focused on a small picture frame sitting on the coffee table. It's a photo of their daughter, smiling, carefree, full of life. A life that was cut short, stolen by the woman across the street. The weight of it crashes over them again, but there's something different this time. Something that's changed. The confrontation with Karen had been everything the protagonist had needed it to be: a reckoning, a moment of raw, unfiltered truth. Karen had looked at them with that same coldness in her eyes, but it hadn't mattered. The protagonist had stood tall, unyielding, in the face of all that Karen had done. For the first time in months, they felt something they hadn't in a long time: control. Power. But with that power came a heavy price. Karen had been exposed, her carefully crafted facade shattered, but at what cost? The protagonist's mind drifts back to the moment they held their daughter in their arms, watching the life drain out of her. That image will never leave them. That pain will never fully fade. The camera shifts, moving through the house. It lingers on the empty spaces where their daughter used to be, her toys scattered across the floor, the small chair by the window, still rocking gently. The protagonist closes their eyes, remembering her presence in every corner of the room. A deep breath escapes their lips, and for the first time, they feel a flicker of something else, something faint, yet powerful. The seed of healing. Outside, the sun climbs higher, bathing the neighborhood in light. The protagonist stands, walking toward the window. The scene outside is peaceful, almost surreal. The world continues on, unaware of the battle fought on this street, of the scars that now define this home. But for the protagonist, the war is over. The battle with Karen has ended, but the battle within themselves has only just begun. The protagonist knows the road to healing will be long. They know there will be days when the pain will feel unbearable, when the anger will rise again, but today, there is a shift. They will carry their daughter's memory with them, always. She will never be forgotten. But they will find a way to move forward. The camera lingers on the protagonist's face as they look out the window, a quiet resolve settling over them. There's no easy fix, no way to undo what has been done, but there's a path ahead. And it's theirs to walk. As the scene fades, the protagonist's voice is heard in a soft, reflective tone: "I'll carry you with me, always." The camera pulls away slowly, leaving them standing at the window, watching the world continue, a reminder that even in the darkest moments, there is the possibility of light.